Welcome to HempLogic Radio, where we attempt to sift facts from opinions in this upside-down world of industrial hemp.
Hey, good morning. Great show we got coming up about Cloudwater. I just want to let everybody know that we are live. We do not do any editing, so you get what you get is what you get. Which sometimes causes some hiccups, but it looks like the last 4 or 5 shows I've had some problems with audio. So let's hope that we have another great show. I've got on the line Marc Siden as well as Alex Galindez. Is that right?
Yes, Alex Galindez.
Galindez. Nice to have you on, Alex. Mark, you and I were just talking. You guys. How are you guys doing there? I think you guys are all in New York.
Yes, we are.
Yep. And I really appreciate you having us. And before we dive in, I'd be remiss if I didn't just say that, our thoughts and prayers go out to all the folks that are being affected by this unprecedented crisis, to the families and the victims. And, a huge salute to the folks on the front line who are, the ultimate heroes right now, putting their lives at risk to save, many of these people, and obviously to the hardest hit, by this crisis in things like the hospitality industry. So sorry, wanted to just throw that out there.
Don't be sorry, Mark. I think it's important that we. I think it's important that we acknowledge those that are out there. I kind of wish that I was a little younger and get out there and had a different kind of job that you get out on the front lines and put yourself. Being an ex-Marine, it kind of you just kind of want to get in the mix. So well, welcome, guys. I know that your media gals reached out to me and asked if you guys could come on. I said sure, and then she sent over your guys' in your deck, and one of the first things that hit me was, how did this start? Being an entrepreneur, you see something and then you see it and you go, what inspired you? What caused this to happen? So that was one of the things I wanted to touch on was how did you come up with Cloudwater, and tell us the story.
Sure. Well, unfortunately for me, as the deeper we get into the story, the less about me it's going to be. And, we'll get into the team and so forth. But this is a kind of a classic case of, timing or opportunity and crisis. They don't follow a calendar, right? They can strike at any time. And I had I have very little beverage experience. I had kind of funded and run a real estate data company for about 15 years, which I was fortunate enough to exit in early 2018. And by no means was it enough to retire, but it was enough to say, hey, good job, and it made me hungrier, to find my next project. But before I did that, I thought maybe I should just take a little break, ease the mind and decompress. And I was literally sinking into my lounge chair, and I get a knock on the door, and there it is. It's opportunity. It's a good buddy of mine, my co-founder, Barry Kelman. Barry was really, really passionate about having come home from Los Angeles, and he was at a party, incidentally, and some people the next morning or that night, I forget the exact detail, were drinking CBD water. And he saw it's very popular, so he tasted it. And I know we're live, so I won't use expletives, but, he said, wow, this
doesn't taste
this tastes like sleep. This tastes like sleep.
We're a safe show, but, I didn't know. You don't have to worry about offending anybody.
No, that's okay. When I go on Howard Stern later, I'm gonna curse all day. So this is fine. But, yeah. But so, Barry, told me about this, and he asked me, he's like, since you've, run and advised some businesses, could you help me figure this out? And I said, sure. And I introduced him to a bunch of people that I thought could help him. And they, all separately went out to dinner. And a few weeks had passed, and I get a call, and it was, hey, I had dinner with this one, and this one, and there's a meeting at my apartment tonight. You should come because, you were helpful in, orchestrating the meetings. I said, sure, what the hell, I'll go. And I went to the meeting, and this is like a guy who, consults to food and beverage companies. There's a guy who was in the cannabis space, for years, and then a marketing guy. And they were all very, very positive on, the market, and especially the samples that Barry had put together. What I didn't know at that time, I knew his sister, but I didn't know enough. She runs a flavor lab, near New York, and she was able to whip up these really great tasting samples. And everybody at the meeting was intrigued. And I had no idea what I was doing at the time. I looked at Barry, and Barry is a great guy, but he's not an operator. I said, Barry, just make sure you find a really good CEO. And they all looked at me, right? And I said, what the hell are you guys looking at me for? I don't know anything about this. And one of the guys was like,
no, don't you dare look at me.
Right, don't look at me. And listen, I guess if I was in therapy, my therapist would say, well, you threw that out there for a reason, didn't you? But anyway, they left. He looked at me. He's like, you're my guy. I want you to be my co-founder. I want you to help me build this business, and let's do it. And I was very humbled and grateful by that opportunity. And you could see it wasn't some magical dream I had or came up. This was something, I'd rather be lucky than good. This fell into my lap. But, obviously there was a lot of work to do. So knowing that I didn't know anything about beverage, I said, let me do some due diligence. And I went and I met with his sister. And I was so impressed by her knowledge. And that started a one thing leads to another chain of introductions, networking, education. And I don't want to take all day to tell the story, but I met with our co-packer, who was so impressive. And then I met with, who is now our COO, Carol Dollard, who's the former COO of Vitamin Water. And she introduced me to Alex, who's an incredible woman and has a great background running brands like Runa and Blueprint. And she'll tell you about herself. Sorry, Alex, I don't want to steal the fire. But there was one commonality that came out of all these meetings, that everybody wanted to be involved with the brand and loved the vision, and nobody put their hand out and started asking for money. They all wanted to invest in one way or another in the future of the brand. So here I was, understanding operations and business, but not really knowing beverage. And I was set up through this one thing led to another with beverage royalty. I was totally insulated from my ignorance and lack of experience. And it really set us down this path that we're on now. And, our ethos has always been to create a premium, transparent, fun, approachable brand that uses the best ingredients, that's transparent about it, and something that people will, sample and love. And if I can toot one horn, it's not me, of what this company has done, we've created an incredible well-for-you beverage with, nice doses, efficacious dose of CBD that tastes incredibly well. And that comes from all the feedback we get on a daily basis from our customers. So that's the foundation of how we started. And, we're really excited for what's to come in the future, minus what we're going through now, of course.
Yeah, we got to get through. We got to get through that. Alex, you want to talk a little bit about how you got on board? Did you
Yes, absolutely.
Run into Mark on the subway and?
No, it was love at first taste. As Mark mentioned, I have quite a few years in the beverage industry and have always actually been in the functional beverage space. So certainly a big advocate of beverage brands that not just taste great, but actually do something that you can feel. And, CBD had come onto my radar a couple of years ago, and I had probably tried, I'd say, 20 or 30 different brands by the time I found Cloudwater, and they always fell apart either in one sense or the other. It was either the taste or I just really didn't feel anything. And so after, trying various brands, Carol, who Mark mentioned is our COO, said, you've got to try this one. And by then I was so skeptical. I was like, I've tried them all. I'm just not really impressed. And I had, my favorite blood orange coconut still to this very day, and was just amazed. Number one, the taste profile is incredible. We've got botanicals that we blend to our different flavors, and just how those flavors come together is truly unique. I haven't seen anything that was just as holistic from a taste profile perspective. And, as soon as I had my full bottle, I'd say, 10, 15 minutes later, I started feeling actually just kind of at peace. And I thought, holy cow, is this, in my head? So, tried a few more, and sure enough, it tasted great, and I could actually feel something. And that's what did it for me. Obviously met Marc, who is an insanely charismatic leader. So that's always a huge, huge plus. And the team that was involved with this brand was so, so impressive. So, before I knew it, I was, working full-time with Marc to just try and build and launch this brand.
Oh, I opened up your guys' deck, and I'm like, what in the – who is this guy?
Yeah.
It's a list of who's who in the beverage industry. And and they're all – it's like, wow, this is absolutely insane. So, I mean, I think I told Marc earlier, if this fails, it's not because you didn't have the right team.
Well,
pretty impressive.
Just to add to that, thank you very much, by the way. And Alex, those are very kind words. And I think, we've seen a lot of sports teams put a who's who of free agents, on paper together, and they come in last place. And I think it goes a lot further than just how incredible Alex is and the acumen, and Carol has a PhD in biochemistry, so she brings the scientific nature to it. It's really how well this team gels together, and you really test everybody. Not that I do, but the world tests everybody at a time of crisis. And I sent a note to my team the other day, just telling them how proud I was and privileged I was to work with them. That despite the crisis where we all have these, convergence of health concerns, financial concerns, worry for friends and family, they show up every single day ready to go to battle. And on top of that, this entire team has expressed their desire for us to do our part and give back. And we've been, making donations within our means, both product and monetarily. And it just makes me feel so proud that we're not just like, hey, let's get through this and survive. It's just a very well-rounded, team, diverse, and it's that commonality and that chemistry that really makes that piece of paper that you think looks great. It's incredible to work, go to work every day.
I'm a big underdog. I've always been a advocate for the underdog. It's anytime there's a game on, I always root for the guy that's not supposed to win. And you look at that, you what you said about the superstars and the free agents and whatnot, and they usually, it's hard for them to gel. Right. Sometimes it's talent alone, but a lot of times you get these, why are they here? Why are they playing in this game? And they're just it's so fun to watch. And, being able, and what you're saying, what I'm hearing is you've got a team that on paper, pretty impressive. And then to have that gel around you, you got to be pretty proud of what's going on. It's pretty impressive.
I hope I'm a little measured with my excitement these days, but I hope you can hear the pride.
Absolutely. It's as an entrepreneur, and it's you want to have that. You dream about building a team that just kind of goes. It just goes along and it's starting to gel and everybody's working together. And I can see it. It's on paper, and listening to you now, you and Alex, you're definitely, Cloudwater is definitely a brand to look out for. So, let's take away what's going on in the world, but let's go back a month. Let's go back a month. 1 month ago, what were you guys thinking? And what were you guys planning on? Were you rolling out? Give me a little bit about what you guys' plans were for 2020.
Good, Alex.
Yep. So we actually just signed on with one of the largest distributors in the country here in the Northeast, and we're actually kicking off. We kicked off this week. We thought that would be delayed, but thankfully, the demand for beverage and the demand for functional beverages are still pretty high, despite what is happening in the world right now. So we just kicked off with this distributor, which we think will really open us up from an availability perspective, where you will be able to actually now find Cloudwater in many locations in the Northeast. We have a very robust direct-to-consumer business, so our online sales are also pretty impressive. And I think, it's just a combination, I think, of timing, and people looking for something that's going to, help both their mental and their physical well-being. So have two healthy, pieces of business there. We've also, we've got a pretty impressive retailer in Southern California called Air One that we're seeing kind of record numbers with. So we're really just kind of getting started and starting, to get ourselves on the map. But so far, it's been a really couple of months. And what we're seeing, I don't think we really imagined from just, a velocity perspective, which is kind of like the metric of how the industry sees a brand's success, is how quickly it's pulled off the shelf. And we're seeing kind of record numbers and are pretty excited about what's to come.
Well, one of the things when you watch, like I've watched Shark Tank for years and years and years, and every time someone brings a beverage, they just kind of roll their eyes and like, you have no idea what you're getting into. You have no idea how competitive this market is. And so I think that has a lot to do with how, I look at you when looking at your deck, just it's like, wow, okay, these guys definitely know people inside the industry. I think that's what makes this, for me, so impressive. And, you have the market, you just, you find yourself walking through the beverage aisle and you just look and go, wow, to get to this point has just a monumental task.
Yeah. Well, they say that the mortality rate for beverage is, 8 out of 10. I think one of the advantages that we have is the different things that have come together. So, as Marc mentioned, certainly the team, but, we've got a great tasting product. It's efficacious. We stand by what we say in terms of our ingredients. In fact, if you had a bottle of Cloudwater in your hand right now and you scan the QR code, it takes you actually to our analysis so you can see exactly how much CBD we have in there. So very, very transparent. And I think some of those things coming together, product, branding, team, it's like the perfect storm. And I'm hoping that that's what's going to give us the advantage so that we are not part of that mortality rate.
And just to add on to that, I think that going back further than a month, a lot of us have built, a variety of different types of businesses. And, we anticipated those statistics. We anticipated, certainly we're getting into a space that there's going to be an incredible amount of noise. And, we saw a lot of brands we were one of the first movers, but we were one of the slowest movers in the beginning. And we did that, very deliberately. We wanted to test and get feedback and then evolve and iterate. And, we put a lot of thought into our packaging. So as you're walking down that aisle and you see this beautiful, piece of art, at least that's how we feel about our bottle, that stands out, that's reusable and sustainable, you stop and say, what is this? And, we just put a lot of thought into that. And then the taste profiles, we were pretty stingy about, releasing them until we felt that they were going to, create this, enlighten the senses of our customers, if you will. And that allowed some brands, at least for the moment, like a horse race, to kind of surpass us on the number of doors and so forth. But as Alex will tell you a million times, and she taught me, getting into a door is one thing. Turning over and velocity and staying there is another. And, we took that approach to say, we're in this for the long game. CBD is not going anywhere. And if these projections by Brightfield and Cowan or anything, in the ballpark, there's going to be a lot to go around. So let's make sure that, we build the pillars of foundation to stay. And we're Cloudwater brands, and we envision having one day potentially more than just a Cloudwater beverage. We can, morph into some other things as we grow and gain more experience. So we were able to anticipate some of these things early on, and they're really paying us back right now as we're now starting to penetrate the market and scale.
Yeah, and of course the CBD market, I've seen it, being on it's funny, we're talking about something, that completely from the HempLogic side of this, HempLogic is more of a consulting farming. We deal with, I always say my experience level goes right up to the edge of the field. and then it drops off a cliff. Now I've got somebody on the show that's literally has put something into a store and actually having it sold on a retail level in a store. So it's kind of fun to have this expand the knowledge base here. The CBD market, I've noticed, I've watched it. It happened to me, this time last year. The world was the oyster. It was like, oh my God, we are, the financials we were seeing, the decks we were seeing, incredible amounts of money, billions of dollars were being thrown around. Fast forward just 9 months and the whole market had turned on its head. It's kind of sickening, but it was kind of, I could kind of see it was going to happen, but I was hoping that it wasn't. But sure enough, I mean, dealing with the farming side of this and watching people fail and couldn't get their crops out of the field. But the hemp market, the hemp industry, the CBD market is still growing. And I think you're the market that we were hoping was going to catch up with us, and it's still doing that. The extractors are still are going through what they contracted. I haven't seen the market start to buy material from farmers that didn't have contracts. That's still up in the air. There's still a lot of biomass for sale, but the extractors are still slowly burning through it. And it's to people like you guys that you guys are you guys do you have a extractor? Are you guys contracted with a special contractor, or how do you go about getting your raw material on the CBD side?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So Carol, who in between some of her other projects, went out to Colorado and really started to study CBD and get a great handle on it. And so she insulates folks like Alex and I from the dozens and dozens of samples that, she has looked at and continues to look at, because it's a continuous R&D process. And, we found a very reputable, larger producer in Colorado that grew organically. Their COAs were very consistent. Their pricing was competitive. And we actually then, so we sourced the isolate, kind of as a raw material. And then we created a proprietary emulsification process in our own lab so that we could control the stability and balance. What we started to find is, even though the biomass might have been of quality, some of the attributes, once you mix it into the beverage, started to throw off pHs, ringing, emulsifications, and things like that. So Carol worked with Ellie, who runs our flavor house, and they created this great process. But, again, to what Alex said, it's very important that you have a reputable, stable producer, of that biomass, so that, we can scale and we're not changing it up over time. As education and the functional spec, if you will, like what is a broad spectrum, what is a full spectrum, a lot of debate going on, and we're right in the middle. But at the end of the day, you want to just be able to follow a recipe. And when you create a beverage like Cloudwater that people love, the last thing you want to be doing is going back and trying to replicate something from, different recipes. It doesn't really turn out, great. If you want to evolve your product into full spectrum, then you go do that and so forth. So we were very fortunate through a lot of due diligence to, contract with Mile High Labs in Colorado, and they've been a great partner for us, thus far, and, so far so good.
Well, I think in any kind of business, if you can, you have to take your formula, and formula, whether it's making hamburgers, McDonald's, their formula of making hamburgers was very, very methodical, and you have to go through that whole process.
Yep.
And you have to have consistency from, whether you're buying it in Montana or you're buying it in New York City, in Times Square, that both those bottles have to be exactly the same. Exactly. And that, I think, once again, that's building a brand. That's building something. And like you were saying earlier, you went slowly, and that probably helped you, get that part taken care of. Supply chain. You can have a formula, and then your supply chain falls apart. It's like, so you got to start all over, and then of course it's different.
Things like this tend to have a binary outcome, right? So if we do our jobs and things go right, then the match lights and it goes, right? And so one of the reasons we went slowly was exactly that reason. We anticipated the opportunity to scale. A lot of brands fail because of too much opportunity. It's not just because they all mess up. Mess up sometimes is on the supply chain, right? And not anticipating that, or not sourcing your raw materials and being able to scale, right? So, again, we took a little bit of extra time to make sure that if someone put in a huge order tomorrow, we'd be able to just, push the gas pedal down further and just scale with that. So we're in real good shape there.
That's totally. Where you guys? Right now, where are you distributing out of? I mean, if you don't mind, you can talk about it.
No problem. We're a New York City-based company, although we've shut our offices proactively a few weeks ago, and I am in an undisclosed location. I'm just kidding. We're all kind of working. We're all working remotely. Our co-packer is in New Jersey. And they are operational and, following, the safety standards. They're deemed essential, of course, to the supply chain and so forth. So right now we're manufacturing on the East Coast. We have distributors in California and Florida. We truck stuff now to where it needs to be. And as we start to scale, we will be looking for geographic and strategic manufacturing facilities to eliminate some of the trucking costs and shipping and so forth.
No, shipping kills, and on our side of the industry, shipping kills because we talk about fiber, we talk about all these other parts of the plant that we're talking about using. It's always shipping is the killer of anything we try to do. You can take something and the margins are very, very small, throw it on a truck, and now you're paying to have now you're in the hole. And that's part of the hemp industry that we're dealing with.
Yep.
Is distribution or just getting it from point A to point B. So, well, what else? What as far as something just popped into my head as far as celebrities jumping on board. I mean, obviously, everybody connected inside your deck have to know a few high-profile celebrities. Do you guys look at that as a positive, or is that something you're trying to just not get involved in just because of the cost?
Go ahead, Alex.
Oh yeah, I was going to say. Well, we have organically attracted a few celebrities, as I'm sure you did see in our deck. At this point in our journey, I'm going through a full endorsement deal with a known celebrity with an X-paid amount is probably a little cart before the horse. In fact, a lot of the brands that I've seen that kind of fail early on, they start going deep into celebrity endorsements and paying those very, very hefty fees before their distribution availability is there. So you've got all of this noise that you're creating, via digital and traditional marketing channels, and then when consumers want to go and actually find the product, it's nowhere to be found. So I think that's probably a strategy that we would look at a couple of months down the road when we do have that availability. But we do have some celebrities that just became organic ambassadors of the brand, and they very often will post on our behalf, which is great, and I think just validation that we're onto something. But as far as a real paid endorsement, I'd say we're probably a couple of months away from that.
That just popped into my head. It just popped into my head. Sorry, the questions. I don't really have a format, so it just it's like something popped into my head as I'm reading. It's like, oh, what about that? Which takes me to the next question. Is this is an aluminum can, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the thought process between an aluminum can versus a clear plastic, where you could see through it? Like,
So plastic was off the table day one. If we're going to be a functional, good for you beverage, there was no way. And my co-founder was adamant about it. He's like, you have full operational control except one thing. This is never going in plastic. So
gotcha.
The boss had spoken and I had to listen. But we actually started in glass. And Cloudwater, the name came a little later. and it kind of emanated through, you know, some ideation and a lot of meetings, and it's a cloudy drink. And was at an art thing with my wife one day, and she's like, we looked at this beautiful little cloud statue, and she's like, oh my God, cloud water or something like, or something came out, and we said that we wanted to make these beautiful bottles, and because it was cloudy, I mean, it really didn't matter to us, but we focused more on the bottle to stick out, because a lot of beverages, you know, again, they kind of look the same, whether they're in a soda can or they're in a clear plastic bottle. So it came more from the desire to differentiate. But we switched from glass to aluminum as we started to get feedback from the market. And we also started to anticipate shipping. And shipping glass over shipping aluminum was pretty major, breakage and weight. And so we came up with this, you know, beautiful, sustainable aluminum bottle that's reusable. Our old glass bottles was a twist off, and part of the feedback was, I can't put the top back on if I want to dose or I want to have some later. So again, that was part of going slow and figuring out what's going to be the best scale plan for us. And, you know, luckily we got there based on, you know, a lot of great feedback.
I'm sitting here looking at your deck, and I'm looking at the pictures of it being in the coolers and whatnot. And as you're talking, it's all it's so weird. It's formulating in my head. That story is now sitting there in front of me, and it makes sense. Where before, you know, we're kind of different people. We're on different spectrums of the whole thing. I mean, for me, that was why the question, why not plastic? To me, it doesn't. That doesn't resonate with me. Oh, it's in an aluminum can. It just, why the aluminum can? But now, hearing your story, looking at the pictures, it's like, it actually looks really cool, especially the one on the far left. It's very clean, and it's something that you might open up and, what the hell is that? And, cloud water. Interesting. So as far as the branding, what other, is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as brands, or where do you want to take this? This is, you know, we can talk about just about anything.
Well, a couple of things I just want to throw in, then Alex, of course,
sure,
you can chime in. But a lot of brands launched with this notion, you know, that CBD will chill you out, or, you know, kind of bring you down, or things like that. And a lot of us, including myself, I got a certification in CBD to understand the science, and learned very quickly that, you know, CBD is known. We don't make any claims as a business, so I'm not going to come on here and say it does this, this, or this. But we did study the science, and the science suggests that it really does create what's called homeostasis in your central nervous system, which is balance. And I always tell people, you know, especially New Yorkers, hey, you're revving your RPMs at 4,000, 5,000. And you have a cloud water or you have some CBD, and you'll feel yourself kind of come back towards closer to idle. And when you're idling, you can make certain decisions, right? Do I go take a nap? Do I go work out? Can I take this meeting now because I'm not as revved up? And, you know, we really started, without making claims, to try to educate people on the different uses. But we also were educated by our consumers who told us that they were drinking cloud water or using CBD in many facets of their life, before Monday morning meeting, after a workout, maybe replacing their Monday, you know, afternoon cup of coffee. And one of the things that we're most excited about, and I love human resiliency, is people are like, oh man, this tastes great with my cocktail. And all of our cocktail recipes were born. And we do not market it as a mixer, but it is versatile enough, right?
Exactly.
But But it's great. I mean, you can ask Alex her favorite drink. I'll tell you my favorite drink. We just launched an Adequate and strawberry. We should probably go to the flavors for a minute, too. We have 4 flavors: blood orange and coconut, grapefruit, mint, and basil, blackberry, lemon, and rosemary. And then we just launched our Aztec chocolate and strawberry, which is a very divergent path than our other, you know, flavors. And one of the first tests we all do is we pour it into a spirit. And how does it taste, you know, with alcohol? not that we're having, not that.
Everybody, but we got a very important meeting in my office at 5:00. Right. Everybody bring it.
That's right. We're done tasting the flavors on their own. Now let's see how it mixes. And
exactly,
we made we made with the chocolate. We made this egg cream. It had chocolate and some Kahlua, which was incredible. Or you mix it with bourbon and whatever. I'm not advocating for people to drink too much right now, but again, in terms of the branding and like the celebrities, like Alex aptly pointed out, we know who we are. We know what we want to represent. But, first rule in marketing is you don't market to yourself, and you give yourself a little elasticity for the market to fill in the blanks and kind of remind you of either who you are or who you could be. And it really helped us to kind of shape, and it's an evolution. It's never going to be hard-coded, that our brand kind of stands for this, a premium experience, great ingredients. But as we, interact, we're noticing that we can get in the minds of people in different facets of their life. And that's great news for a company like ours, who obviously wants to sell and sell more and be more of a part of the daily life, as opposed to, I'll put a Cloudwater in my fridge for when I come home from work so I can chill out, right? That's not what we wanted. And thankfully, that's not what we got. Alex, if you want to add to that. But I think that's great news for us from a brand standpoint.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the mixing ability was certainly not something that we were counting on. I think there are a lot of people out there who are looking to mix their favorite spirit and are kind of turned off by, some of the mixers that are out there, which are usually like sodas or tonics. You look at the sugar content on some of those mixers, and it's really off-putting. Cloudwater is just 40 calories in the entire bottle. So you compare that with any other mixer, and you'd see it makes sense. Right. My personal favorite is blackberry, which I mix in with my vodka with a little bit of lemon zest, and it is truly delicious.
It's true. It's truly
Alex,
phenomenal.
You're probably drinking one right now. It's right. It's
I am working from home. Anything is possible.
Well, hey, if I could put that in my orange juice, then it's 10:30. It's 10:30 my time. So yeah, it's start the Friday off good with a nice orange cocktail in the morning. Orange juice cocktail.
Did I mention only 40 calories?
And only 40 calories. Yes.
Right. And we're like in Vegas right now. Nobody knows what day it is, right? Drinks are welcome anytime. We're all losing money, right? What's the difference?
So you talked about your flavors. So you've got some savory and the sweet, of course, but you got some savory ones there. Is that how I read that?
Well, they're artisanal, made with premium botanicals. And our first three flavors, being the blood orange, the grapefruit mint and basil, and the blackberry, has a nice kind of, I wouldn't call it fruity, but, botanical flavor profile. And then the Aztec chocolate, for folks who don't know what Aztec chocolate is, there's some kick to it, right? So there's a little spice. So if you open it and think you're having one of our other flavors, you might say, whoa, what is that? But once you appreciate kind of the formulation of that it's like a chocolate flavor, drink and a CBD beverage, which, nobody else is doing. Again, it plays into how we differentiate and stay above the noise from, all the other competitors. And again, it creates the diversity in our flavor profiles that we want. Not everybody comes up to us and says, oh my God, I love everything. They come up and say, yeah, I like the grapefruit, but man, I'm obsessed with the orange. And that's what we want. You want to open that aperture to mass appeal if you can. And we're going to continue to innovate and make flavor profiles that are different, but obviously stay within the popularity realm.
That's the hardest. I'm sorry if I'm giving myself away of watching a shit ton of TV, but Marcus Lemonis, we went into that one of the ice cream places there, and he's like, dude, you've got like 50 different flavors.
Yeah.
How much are you selling of this flavor?
Right.
It's like, you don't know what your product is, which, I think over time, I think it was a really old company. And I think over time the son was just trying to expand the market, not really understanding what he was trying to expand. But yeah, so you have certain flavors, and did this one work? And I think as your company grows, you're even more susceptible to how do you introduce a new SKU. I was like, this is a great.
We're all data driven, very sensitive to data, tells a story, and the first three flavors pretty much sell equally. Blood orange might be a little bit ahead, but overall, those three flavors sell pretty equally, and the chocolate needs some time to catch up, but it came out of the gate. And we were skeptical. I have to tell you, there was some internal, it wasn't conflict, but there was definitely some, mixed feelings about how the chocolate was going to do. And to a lot of our surprise, I love it, but it started to pick up popularity pretty quickly. And so we would expect that and hope that that kind of reaches that level as well. And if you can produce 4 flavors that are selling neck and neck, you're in great shape. And then again, you have some optionality. Do we keep going wide? Do we now look into another, kind of level, within under the Cloudwater umbrella and so forth? And we're always thinking about that and giving ourselves choices. And, right now, I think we're great. 4 flavors, you own a shelf, and it's enough diversity to appeal to, a mass audience. And we'll keep watching the data, and then, we'll make informed decisions like we always do.
And then you can look at it from that standpoint. And then also, you talked about the beverage mixers and whatnot, maybe that you start spinning on, it's like, well, if you like this, what if we did this for you? And you put it in obviously different packaging and all the different things. But, if it leads you that direction, well, I guess that's where we're going. These guys want it in this configuration and in this flavor category, then that's where we're going to go. I'm excited for you guys. It's fun to listen to a success story. I see it as a success story. I don't see a reason why this won't work. It's just a matter of you guys getting out there and it's getting into more stores and expanding your market share. So it's cool. It's really cool. I'm glad I got you guys on here, because this is a lot of fun to see it kind of grow right in front of our. We've been on the air now 40 minutes. So
wow.
Yeah, I know I got to say, guys, this is actually one of the better ones. It's flowing really well. You guys interview great. I don't know.
Well, thank you.
That's because we're drinking. No, just kidding.
So, Mark, talk a little bit more about your team, if you don't mind. Let's talk about your team. If you don't, if that's something, we could.
Yeah, sure. So, Alex knows this business better than anybody I've met so far. I mean, she has on paper got a lot of experience. So, it's hard to argue there. But it's the level of detail scrutiny that she applies to, creating our ground up forecast, to understand how distributors think and work, all the little, minefields that are out there that destroy brands every day. And some of these conversations are painful. I'm not going to lie to you, to have to walk through this, by detail, but thank God for that, because, it really alleviates, potential pain that we or other brands, can face. And I'm really grateful for that. On the other side of me, there's Carol. Carol walked into Vitamin Water, Smart Water in its early days. She did reformulations. She built an internal, distribution platform within Cloudwater. Within Vitamin Water. I hope they become interchangeable. And
yeah.
In fact,
hey,
Alex, call 50 Cent and tell him we got his next gig for him. Anyway, so
in 6 months.
Okay, 6 months.
And again, so on the other side, Carol, who built Vitamin Water from its very early days through the sale to Code for $4.2 or $3 billion, understands supply chain and all those pitfalls, and making sure that there are supply side efficiencies to our our cost of goods, to our lead times, to things like that. And I look to the right and the left, and I have to say it's just incredibly comforting. They're incredible women. I have so much respect for them, but their knowledge, really, really makes this a lot easier than I think it would be on a normal day. And go ahead. You have a question?
Oh, I was just going to say, dude, I would not want to be in a room with those two, and it's like, hey, whoa, you guys, hey, I'm a little intimidated here. You guys are intimidating me.
We're 18 months in. I still am, but I have to say it's actually a delightful. if I'm going to win a trophy, that's the trophy should be that we all came together and took this brand from nothing, and we exited, and everybody made a lot of money, and most importantly, felt an incredible amount of pride of what they did. So I'll take the intimidation because we're heading in the right direction.
Oh, I mean that in a total joking way, but you know what? You're definitely,
I know.
You have definitely two powerful women in the room with you. I mean, if you don't mind, Alex, just reading the deck here, just give people a little bit of who we're talking with. It's part of the Red Bull and Vitamin Water U.S. launch. You as an entrepreneur, you want to learn off your past experiences, and you just read this and go, wow, she knows where all the bodies are hidden. She knows where all the potholes are. It's like, this is awesome. Don't go down that path. There's dead bodies down there. Go this way. I don't know what's down there, but at least I know there's no dead bodies at the end of this trail, because the last time we tried that, now that people lost their lives. So yeah, it's so go ahead, Mark. I didn't mean to cut you off in talking about your team.
And beyond Carol and Alex, which we could talk about all day, my wife Julie, who had her own kind of design business, started to help us out because again, we've been scrappy. We've raised a little bit of money, and we're going back a year now. And Julie, I know she's my wife, but she has the most incredible design, and she kind of took over, and it really started to, help us on the design, our social media, designing our POS and things like that, and really took what our earlier friends at a company called VGS did to help us create the brand, and she kind of took over and took it to the next level. And she makes us look amazing, right? And we're lucky to have her. And, on the design side, presentation is everything. Our advisors are some of the most astute beverage people and entrepreneurs. Our investor group are incredibly dynamic. I'm so lucky to have these investors. They call me all the time, and it's not to ask me how their money is doing. They all offer their support. They give us opportunities to pursue, and, always let us know if there's anything they could do for us. So the insulation levels go much deeper than just the day-to-day team. The advisor team is incredible, the investor team. So, again, as I told you at the onset, the more and more we talk about this, the less about me, and it shouldn't be, it is. It's really incredible to have these layers of, both experience and I'll call protection, especially at a time like this, that rally around. They all have rallied around the company in the last week or two to help us come up with through this crisis.
Yeah, it's really, guys. I got to tell you, as far as the if you're listening to this is really an impressive deck. It just keeps, like you said, layer after layer after layer. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm like, God, if I had $1 million, I'd be like, hey, Mark, can I get in on this? I want to play because it's that cool. It's that impressive, and it's not, it's not about the flash like Alex was talking about celebrities and whatnot. It's not about really the celebrity or the flash of the whole thing. It's the team. And talking to you, Mark, you truly are believing in what you've got built around you, and that's so cool.
Yeah, and there's two accelerants that we're anticipating in the near future that could potentially slingshot us, and that is a government or FDA regulation that will open the spigot, if you will, to much bigger distribution opportunities for us. That obscurity has hurt a lot of companies, and so we're waiting for the FDA to come out and kind of create a level framework for everybody. And then, as Alex said, once you establish your identity, have distribution, and you start to tap into some of the contacts we have in entertainment, music, and sports that are all kind of willing to jump in and help the brand, we're really excited to add those accelerants at the right time. And so we're just, like I said, we're just beginning here, and we still have some, cards in our deck to play as, things go forward.
Right on. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of fading out here. What do we have anything? We could dive into what's going on in the world, but I don't really want to get depressed after having such a great.
the only thing I want to say, like, I don't know how many business owners or leaders or small business folks are out there, but if you don't mind, just to say that I think times like this, they bring out a lot, and how we handle. And when I say we, I'm talking to fellow business owners. How we handle this crisis will define us and our brands for many years to come. How we treat our employees, treat our vendors, how we treat our customers, right? And most importantly, being proactive about anticipating some pain and creating the least amount of damage, right? And the more out in front of that you are, the more sustainable your brand can be. And just don't forget your own. I know sometimes we're forced to think myopically, oh my God, we're going to run out of money, but it's the people in your business that's going to make it for you or break it. And those people should be the last ones on that list to get hurt at a time like this. The SBA is throwing out a lot of money for companies like ours and others to help support us through this time. And I just hope people and leaders are being proactive, as scary as this time is. And that comes from a position of optimism and hope. We will get through this. We don't need to get depressed. But it's more depressing if you unfortunately have to lose your business and great people, especially if it's avoidable. But we love that you brought us on today. Alex, it's always great to chat with you and have some fun. I'm going to go work out, and then I'm going to have a cloud cocktail for sure. It's beautiful out.
I'm going to hit that cloud water hard. It's
Yeah.
Well, you guys have been, I got to say, as I started this podcast, just I thought it would be kind of fun. I was listening to Joe Rogan, and someone had asked him about, how'd you start this? How'd you start this cast? He goes, oh man, I was doing this, and I just did it. And then he goes, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, just do it. You just got to start. And
right.
So I started it. And like I told you in my email, Mark, my first 4 episodes were done out of the cab of my truck.
Yeah, I read that.
So impressive. Love that.
Yeah.
I'm alongside the road. I'm alongside the road with my phone plugged into my computer so I could get on and actually do the podcast. And the first 4 were done out of the cab of my truck. So I thought that was kind of a cool. If you're going to do it, you just got to start. And I would recommend it.
Yep.
If you can. It's not something you have to put a whole lot of time into. I know some people like to edit. I think for me, I'm hearing feedback.
I love it.
The not editing,
it's great.
The not editing part really throws people off. It's like, oh, is it live? I'm like, well, no, it's not live per se because it has to upload to the cloud. But I don't edit it. I don't break it out, and I don't take out the ahs and the ums and the dead silence. And they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to get on. So having you come on, and it's been a great. It's been a great podcast, and I really thank both of you for going on. This is one of my longer ones. We're going on 53 minutes. So you guys have been great. I think you guys be safe. We're going through some tough times here, and you know what? I definitely would like to get some of this cloud water. I don't know what I got to do to get some, but I know I'm in Medford, Oregon right now.
I was just going to say one selfish plug. If you want to follow us at Cloudwater CBD on Instagram, we are giving out discounts now to people to help them through this time. We are donating proceeds to the food banks. So we're not making a lot of money right now. So I'm not pushing sales for profit, but we need to make it through this time. Also, if you want to try it, we have sampler packs. Come on, follow us if you want. Any follow-up questions for me, Alex, or the team, DM us. We're very responsive. And we're really grateful that you had us on today and wish everybody out there the best for this time.
Absolutely. You guys have been great. Make sure you guys keep in touch. You guys make sure you guys keep in touch. I'm definitely going to follow you guys now. So, all right, guys.
Great. Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.
You guys have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
All right, guys. That was Cloudwater's CEO, Marc Siden, as well as Alex Galindez, CRO of Cloudwater. One of the best episodes so far. I think it went really well. If you're still with us at this time, I really appreciate you listening. If you'd like to be on the radio, if you'd like to be on the program, hit me up at radio@hemplogic.com with any ideas you might have. You guys have a great day. You guys be safe out there. It's kind of crazy. And we'll let you guys go. Have a good one.